All right, and good day, and welcome to today's session of Truly Foundation and A Course in Miracles with your host, Oliver Blue. I am delighted to be here. Thank you for your presence. It is my great pleasure to be sitting in this space as your temporary guide, teacher, coach, um, but permanently as your brother, and I even go deeper to say as your very own self, because there is only, in reality, the one self that we all share. We call it life, and life more abundantly. We call it to be awake, to be conscious, to be enlightened, to be aware. That's what life is. Life is awareness. What life is being there's not words to describe it, but I'm going to try. But life is basically being alive. And to be alive is to be aware. And out of awareness comes consciousness. But at the foundation of all of that is the one source of all that is life itself. And when I understood, the day I understood that I'm not separate from that, but that I am that, I'm one with that. I am one with life. I am one with the very source of life. I'm not a product of life, but I am the very life itself. It was the day that I walked into a freedom that I never knew was possible. And it's the day that all of us begin to accept the reality of our oneness, the reality of our nature, the reality of our essence, which is the same nature, the same essence, the same life that universally we label under the title God, not as something separate, but one with. That's why when I read with this understanding from this point of view, now when I read uh, great writings, now when I read uh, inspired writings like the Bible or like other uh, inspired books that talks about the origin of life and spirituality, and it talks about life as being our relationship to life as being one with it. And many different uh, there are many different ideas about this oneness that is shared in many different arenas, many different spiritualities or psychology, even in science, is now grabbing a hold of the fact that there's an agreement among the world of psychology, the world of religion, and the world of science, that there's only one source to everything. Everything is an expression of the one source, and in reality, it is the one source that provides the intelligence, the power, the sustainability, the creativity to allow all experiences to be experienced, and not just to be experienced, but to be seen as these indicators of the unlimited capability of this one energy or this one source or this one life or this one God. However we want to label it, doesn't matter. But the reality is there is a universality that we all exist in, and nothing is separate and apart from the one source that we all share. And so there's an agreement there. And so if we just start there, we can go somewhere very fast. But if we start at a place of divide or at a place of separation, then no way the two cross. Because there will always be a divide. But where there's oneness, there's no divide. There could be a period of sleep or a period of wake, but there is no divide. And so as we get started this morning on lesson 316 in the workbook for A Course in Miracles, just want to remind ourselves that we're still under the section, what is the last judgment? And so these 10 subsequent lessons are basically supporting the idea about what was shared under the subject, what is the last judgment, as the Course in Miracles shares with us. And just for a reminder, it says that God's final judgment, which transcends the idea of a last judgment or the idea of a second coming, the final judgment, God's final judgment, or life's final judgment, or reality's final judgment, or love's final judgment. Judgment basically has to do with its final opinion or its final conclusion. So what is the final conclusion? What is the final opinion that has been spoken here by the one source? What is God's conclusion? What is the conclusion of all of this? Because all of us come to a point that in our life that, we come to a conclusion about life. I was speaking to one of my friends on last night, and I was telling him that we're in that season where we are, evaluating everything that we've ever known and ever believed because we have lived enough a life to understand that it is only that which is real that really matters. It is only that which is eternal or infinite that really matters. All of these other activities and events and sensations and relationships and all that we've done in life for, these 50, 60, some of us 70 years, some of you out there 80 years, 90 years, whatever. When you've gotten to that stage in life, you ought to know something. We ought to have learned something and have come to somewhat final conclusions. And so that's what this section on the last judgment, which turns us to a final judgment or a final conclusion. What is the conclusion of the matter? So we go to the Creator. We want to know what the Creator thinks about the conclusion, because you never ask the thing about itself. You always ask the maker of the thing. You always ask the source. You always ask the source. If you want to get an exact answer, if you want to get an accurate answer, an accurate response. And so here God is saying, this is my final judgment. This is my final conclusion. It says God's final judgment is as merciful. Is full of mercy as every step of his appointed plan is blessed. His appointed plan to bless his creation. So all of this is about you. All of this is about God's blessing his creation. And we have come to understand that God blesses his creation, and God created the one thing. And he called it the I am, or he called it you and me. He called it the children of God, or he extended himself and said, hey, that's very good. I like that. And so, but we have to remember when we were created, and there was no time, no space. We were created before the world was. We were created not as form, but we was an idea, an extension of God. And ideas leave not their source. We've learned that here in the course. So that we remain as we were created, number one. We remain where we were created. We can't be separate from our creator. That's impossible. Ideas can't leave their source. If you create something, if you originate something, even if it goes around the world, if you sourced it, it remains with you. The original idea remains with you. Everyone's many may get to experience what you created, but you're the one that the idea was birthed in, and it remains there. And so that's how it is with all humanity. Humanity is a God idea, and God birthed it, this idea. And God didn't just birth the idea and then separated himself from the idea. That's impossible. And so we've always been where we've always been created, and that is what? In the heart of God. We've never been separated from this source. We've never been separated from this life or this self or this idea, because to be separate from it is to be not known. And God will never not know what he created, because God would have to not know himself. He would have to forget his actual self in order for us to be forgotten. It is impossible. Absolutely impossible. And when we embrace this reality and this idea, how happy should we be? How happy can we be? And so with that in mind, the final judgment is as merciful as every step in God's appointed plan to bless that which he created, which is you and me. So your happiness, your experience of this reality is God's only purpose. For humanity to come into the knowledge or the awareness of this truth. That's what is defined as salvation, to come into the knowledge of the truth of not only who you are, but your purpose of being. Absent of knowing yourself and knowing your purpose for being. One is the word we use is lost. So salvation basically is being found, one finding themselves. And when one really find themselves, they find their creator, because they understand in reality. You haven't really found yourself until you embrace the fact that what you found was not only yourself, but you found the creator of yourself, because you and your creator are one and the same. There's never been a separation. There can never be a separation from you in life, from you in love, from you in reality, from you in truth. Never, ever. Ever, never. And so we haven't really found ourselves until we have embraced that reality. We have seen glimmers of ourselves. We may be on the path of knowing ourselves. But when one really comes to know the truth of who they are, like Jesus said, you shall know the truth, and the truth that you know will set you absolutely, completely free. Free from what? Free from anything else that is not in alignment or in integrity or in harmony with your true identity. And so therefore, one who has found themselves, they have found that they have not only one with God, but they're one with everyone. And when you find that you're one with everyone, one no longer operates from a mind of separation, a mind of being competitive, but one operates from a place of oneness, a place of um, creativity. That's what the mind of Christ is. It's a creative mind that's full of mercy. Like it says here, that it's full of mercy, very merciful. It doesn't see from a myopic point of view. It doesn't see from a place of separation. It doesn't see from a place of competing. It doesn't see from a place of fear. It doesn't entertain the thoughts and the ideas that will come to rob one of its peace or of its joy or of its happiness. And so this final judgment, this final conclusion that God has rendered on us has not just been rendered after the fact, but God is the beginning and the end. God knows the end from the beginning and the beginning from the end. So when God had made a judgment, he made the judgment when he created us, that we would be holy and without blame before God in love, that we would be the very expression of God himself. And so then there's nothing else to judge. When reality is laid, when truth has been established, there's nothing else to be judged. There's nothing else to be afraid of. There is not this sense of lack or scarcity or competition. There's not this sense of defense, kill or be killed. As we see the world has demonstrated all through its history, that mankind is at war against himself or with others, as though we're not brothers or sisters. And so the final judgment is as merciful as every step in his appointed plan to bless his son or to bless his creation. The word son here represents, it's like the word Christ. It's an all-encompassing word. It's just a symbol of the one thing that God created. And notice it's singular, son. Notice Christ is singular, Christ, not crisis. There's only one Christ. The word Christ means one, that we're all one. All things have been reconciled into one. The one Son of God. God created the one Son, his very own self. But it's only in a world of multiplicity that we find ourselves in. That we want to do the add-on, that we want to split and divide and to multiply. And so, God has not only appointed a plan to bless us, but has called us to return to the eternal peace. Notice now, eternal peace. There's a difference in the peace of this world and the eternal peace of God. One passes understanding. The other doesn't pass anything. It passes on fear and guilt and condemnation. The peace of this world. The peace of this world the peace of this world is very, short-lived. In fact, we're one thought away from losing our peace in this world. If that's where we think that the peace is. You're one thought away from losing your balance. You're one thought away from self-sabotaging by embracing an idea or a thought that is antithetical to your reality. And these thoughts always come in the form of what? Separation. Always in the form of what? Division. And if we are not highly developed or mature, we'll find that our mind becomes the playground for all kind of divisive, immature, self-defeating ideas. And so we have to be wise. We have to be, we have to embrace the oneness that we share and put all of our marbles in that oneness. We can't hold one marble back. We can't have a second plan. We are all born of love, and love is all there is, and there is no other option. There are no other options in reality. If we are to escape the suffering of this world, if we are to escape the anxiety that is running rampant in this world, we have to embrace the reality of the truth of who we are. If we're going to, if we're really going to, experience the peace that passes the natural proclivity, we're going to have to accept our true identity. We're going to have to accept the fact that we have equality with God. We're going to have to accept the reality that when you have seen me or anyone, you have seen God Himself. Like Jesus said, when you see me, you seen the Father. Likewise, Jesus said, I and my Father are one. This is the way He was thinking. This was the mind of Christ. This is the mind of an awakened one. This is what we desire. This is what we desire, even if we don't consciously know that. We think we want the objective things of this world. We think we want the money and the cars and the homes and the relationships and the prestige and the favor. We think that that's really what we want, that if I could really just get this, that then all will be well, only to find out when we get it. Because it's in form. It's only fleeting. It's only going to last for a little bit. Then we're going to feel unfulfilled. There's got to be more. You mean this is all there was? Okay, I got 8 million. Is this what it feel like to be a multimillionaire? I got 6 figures. Okay, this is what it feels like to earn $500,000 a year. Or, ask a billionaire or ask a trillionaire. Once they get there, they'll tell you it's not what they thought it would be. Yeah, they could buy up anything they want. But none of that fulfills the inner urging to know the truth about themselves and about others and about their creator. Nothing in form feels that. You can ask the most endowed with riches, and they will tell you the riches really don't mean anything. That their health is important. Their peace of mind is important. The love that they have for themselves and for all humanity, that's more important than the money. All the things. And there's nothing wrong with money, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with things. Because all that's going to do is magnify what you think about yourself. It's going to put you in a brighter light. What do you think about yourself? What do you think about others? Do you know who you are? And so the call is to all of us to return to this eternal peace that we share with our Creator. It says, be not afraid of love. We've been called to what? Reunite with our very own nature, which is love. Be not afraid of yourself. Be not afraid of love. Be not afraid of the offerings of this world that would attempt to be a substitute of the love that we share. For it alone, what? Be not afraid of love, for love alone can heal all sorrows. All sorrows. There's nothing that love cannot heal. Paul talks about the gifts of faith and hope and love. And he said the greatest of these is love. Why? Because the greatest of these is God. The greatest of these is reality. The greatest of these is the love that we share. Love is oneness. Love is all encompassing. It must not exclude anyone or anything. It's all encompassing. There's no separation in love. That's why isolation is so depressing. Isolation is so self-defeating. Love does not isolate. Love integrates. Love integrates. Love says what? No, there is no multiplicity. It's only the one of us. And so for it alone can heal all sorrow. It alone can wipe away all tears. Do you feel like crying? It says love alone can wipe away all tears. And gently waken from our dream of pain that we, whom God acknowledges as his very own. Be not afraid of this, for salvation asks you, give it welcome. And the world awaits your glad acceptance. Why? Which will set the world free. It is your acceptance. It is my acceptance of these realities, of the essence of our reality. Your complete likeness, your complete imagination, which is the express image of your creator. That you are just like your creator. You heard people say, he looks just like his dad. He acts just like his dad. Or she looks just like her mom. And it's not like we just look like them or act like them, that we are of that is the source from which one came. Your parents gave you a body. They took their body elements and shared them with you and extended them, and pop, here you come. Well, God did the same thing. God took all of his DNA. God took all of his essence, all of his mind, all of his being, and extended it. And this is who you are. No less, no more. The principle of life, the principle of creation is that whatever is in the part is in the whole. All of it is in the part, because the whole and the part are the same. Are you getting this? Who we are as the creations of God is God himself or herself or itself, however you want to put it. We may seem to be separated because we're in this dream world of separation. We may seem to be fragile because we're identifying with these fragile bodies. We may seem to be limited because the body can only be in one place at one time. All this may seem to be a happening, but life is not about seem. Life is about reality. But the reality is, we are having these experience, this human experience. But this human experience does not change our spiritual nature. It does not change our infinite nature, our infinite self. It does not change the all-encompassing reality that we are everywhere present with the one presence that we share with God. And so, salvation asks us to welcome our reality. Welcome yourself. Introduce yourself to yourself. Say, hi, it's great to meet you. And then you respond to yourself. It is great to meet you too. We're so much the same. We are the same. So when we meet one another, that's the whole idea. That we look beyond the limitation of form. We look beyond the limitation of time. And we see the face of Christ in everyone. We see the divinity in everyone, regardless of what their history has been. All of us got it. Some got better history than others. It does not matter. The history won't matter. The history has no impact on what God created. The history only have an impact on what you experience. You can experience bliss here, joy and peace, and all the virtues that come from your love self, or you can experience all of the suffering that comes from the nightmare of a belief in separation. And we see it happening on both sides. We've experienced both part of that. But we have to make a choice today. We have to make a choice now. Adam, Eve, where are you right now? Where are you in this moment? How are you perceiving? How are you welcoming the love that we share? Or are you in a place of separation? You're in a place of angst. You're angry about something, or you are offended over something, or you're holding a grievance over something or someone or something or someplace. Where are you right now, Adam? Where are you right now, Eve? That's all that ever matters. Not the past, not the future, but right now. Where am I holding? Where is my mind set? What am I embracing in this moment? And so, the world awakes our glad acceptance because the world gets set free. So this is God's final judgment. If you never heard it before, you can hear it now. Because remember, only thing that matters is now. It doesn't matter what I thought in the past or what I might think about the future. Only thing that matters is what I think right now. And right now, the Course is sharing with us that God's final conclusion concerning his creation is this. And it's always been this way. It's never changed. I'm the Lord thy God, what I change not. What humanity doesn't change my opinion of what I did. I know what I created. I know what I placed in them. I know what is in me is in them. I know what the potential is. I know what the infinite possibilities are for all of us. He said, I know that because I'm the creator. I know what's in them. I know what the capability are. He says, so my judgment of what I created has never changed, has never been altered, not one iota. Not one iota. No matter what the stories have been told, no matter of what our opinions have been. You never ask the thing about itself. You have to ask the creator of the thing. And love is the one that created us. Love is what created us. That's why I love John's writing. In the New Testament, John says what? Everyone that is born of God is born of love. Why? Because God is love. So God knows that you are love. That's why here at Truly Foundation, our mantra, and we'll sing it throughout all eternity. We'll sing it all over the world. We'll share this mantra in every venue that we get to play in, that we get to express in. And that is truly, which means the real you loves you. The real you loves you. When we come to know our real self, we'll find ourselves to be loved. Why? Because the real you is love. And that is who all of us are. That is what all of us are. And so, God's final conclusion about the matter is this: that we are still his holy creation. Notice now, holy, Holy. We've always been holy. That's why Jesus said, be holy, for I am holy. In other words, be holy because the Creator is. You can't be anything other than that. Any idea that you have embraced other than that, he said, is what? It's a thief and a robber. It's trying to rob you from your peace, rob you from your identity, rob you from the unlimited, infinite love that we share, regardless of where it came from. He said, but I'm telling you the truth. He says what? You are still my holy creation. Paul picked up on it in Ephesians when he says what? Before the foundation of the world, it was already established that we should be holy, blameless before God. How? In love, because God is love. So this is your final judgment. Forever innocent. This is the conclusion about your true identity. That you are holy and you're innocent. And it's in your innocence that's your salvation. Knowing that you are innocent. And the knowing that you are innocent will remove all doubt, will remove all guilt, will remove all fear. Knowing that you are innocent, innocent. You may not be innocent before man, but you're innocent before God, in the sense that what we experience in this life as judgment and guilt and condemnation is merely a result of not knowing who we are. But it has not changed the reality of our innocence. Only thing it impacts your experience, your human experience, but it doesn't change the reality of your love nature. So that we are holy and we're innocent and we're forever loving and forever loved. This is the final judgment. And that we are as limited as our Creator. There is no limit in our reality. We are infinite beings, timeless beings. This little short experience that we're having here, this little, when you're traveling a long way, people travel, 18 hours, 20 hours on a trip, and they may stop at the rest stop for 15 minutes to use the bathroom and get some snacks, but then they're back on the road. This experience we're having called, humanity, this is like stopping at the rest stop to use the bathroom. It's not compared to the 20-hour trip. It's not to be compared to the 20 hours of travel along the way. Our life here is not to be compared to the glory that shall be revealed, that shall be experienced beyond the limitations of this time. We're taking life too serious. So we are limitless, we are loved, we are innocent, we are holy. And then it says, and completely changeless. See, completely changeless. What God has created cannot be changed. So what God created you before the foundation of the world, that can't be changed. It can't be altered by a little human experience. And forever pure. And so who we are in reality is like Jesus said, the pure in heart shall see God in everything. We have not lost our purity. We have covered it up, but we haven't lost it. And when you unveil it, all that was there, you can see. You can begin to see yourself for who you truly are. You begin to see your neighbor for who they truly are. You begin to see God for who God truly is. And what you begin to see is all things is the one thing, which a lot of the traditional religious path use the word Christ. That's what Christ means. All things have been reconciled into the one thing. It wasn't talking about one individual or one person's life. We're in this season of Easter, this week of Easter, as I'm making this message today. I can't get on that. I may have to do a whole Easter message, but it won't be a traditional Easter message. The Easter message is based on the belief in separation. So when the foundation of your belief starts on the basis of separation, it can only end on separation. But when the foundation of your knowing, your believing, is based on oneness, like it says here, it's completely changeless and forever pure. So I might do an Easter message this year, right? It's time for us to wake up where this Easter message is concerned, where the resurrection is concerned, where the death, burial, and resurrection is concerned. It's time for us to graduate from the elementary understanding of that, and for all of us to get PhDs in knowing what is the meaning of all of this, what's the true meaning, so that we don't make of God an unloving Father that one should fear. If the message makes us have any sense of fear or dread of final judgment, then we've got the story. We've added our meaning to the story. Because nothing about God is fearful. Nothing about God leads to death. The whole idea of a story as it was told, and the purpose for which the story should lead us to a different conclusion, and that is the conclusion that death is not real. If the story don't lead you to the conclusion that death is not real, if the story don't lead you to the conclusion of your innocence, of your holiness, of your loveliness, of your limitlessness, of your changelessness, if the story doesn't lead you to your forever purity, then we need to go back and see where we made the error. We need to find out, where did we make the error in our thinking? And so therefore, the story is about what? Awaken and return. Awaken and return. Awaken and return to the place that you've never left. Because in dreams, we go nowhere. In falsity, we go nowhere. And so the story, if interpreted correctly, should lead us to the final judgment, as God shows here. And that is that we have been on a journey of waking up. But this journey has no distance, because what? We remain as God created us. We remain where God created us, in heavenly places. We remain what? In the heart of God. We remain as the holy home of God. We remain as God. If that's not the conclusion of the matter, then we need to go back, because something is wrong. God is changeless. God is changeless. And so are we. And so we have returned to a place that we never left. That means if you return to a place that you never left, you just awakened. When you wake up from a dream, I woke up from a dream this morning after I had awakened and after I had come up into my sanctuary here, come up to the broadcast room, into my office over to the right. And as I was sitting over doing my daily ritual, I do have a daily ritual. I hope you do too. And I kind of dozed off while sitting at my desk in my meditative time. And it wasn't long. But in almost like a split second, I had this dream of one of my goals that I have set for myself for this year. I had a dream that the goal was fulfilled, and it was like real, and all my emotions were in it. All my psychological self was in it. All my physical self was in it. It was so real. But it was a dream. And it felt good. All dreams are not bad dreams, but some dreams, depend on what the side of your mind, the ideas that you are beholding to. And then I woke up in an instant and realized, oh, okay, I'm still sitting here. I just dozed off. But man, wow, that was a great feeling, because this is one of the goals that I have written. This is going to happen. And it is going to happen. Why? I already seen it. But I realized what? No, I'm here. I'm still in the same place. I haven't gone anywhere. And that's how it is when we wake up from our fears, from our doubts, when we wake up from our phobias, when we wake up from our idols, when we wake up from the traditions of this world, when we wake up from the conformity of this world, when we wake up from the lies of this world, when we wake up from this false self that we have promoted, when we wake up from this world that have promoted a false idea, we realize that we haven't gone anywhere. But we remain as God created us in the midst of all of this falsity. In the midst of all this falsity. And that's how it will happen for all of us. Right in the midst of all of this craziness, will you awaken? And when you awaken, like Jesus said, you become the light of the world, because that is who you are. You begin to light up the world. It will happen in the midst of your storms. It will happen in the midst of your imperfect situations or circumstances or condition. It is going to happen when there seems to be no way out, where there seems to be no salvation, where there seems to be that you're at your wit's end. That is when it happens. In a sense, because we are out of our wit's end. We are in an insane way of thinking and being, and some of our situations are insane. diabolical. All that and more when we don't embrace the truth of who we are, when our thinking is not in alignment or in integrity or in harmony with our true identity, then it's insanity. Regardless of the form. The form doesn't matter. That's only temporary. Because the moment you wake up, you see things completely different. Your whole world changed instantly. So what's more important here? Your past, your fears, your phobia, or knowing the truth? It is knowing the truth. Why? Because knowing the truth changes everything. It makes all things new. When you come to know yourself and yourself as God, and in one another, it changes everything. All things become new. The scripture talks about this newness of life. This is what he's talking about. The life is not external. The life is in the knowing. The life is in the revelation of the truth that sets us free, and the world free, and everyone free. Therefore, awaken and return to me, for I am your Father, and you are my creation. You're mine. We belong to God. God is our only reality. And that was a long preference to our lesson for today. But our lesson for today is all gifts I give to my brother are my own. Let me say that again. All gifts that I give to my brothers are my very own gifts. Our previous lesson, 3:15, said all gifts that my brother gives to me belongs to me. All the gifts that my brother gives belong to me. So this is, again, acknowledging the final judgment, that we're one. That what we give to our brother, we give to ourselves. What our brother gives to us, he's give to himself. Why? Because we are one. So how we're thinking about ourselves is how we think about others. How we think about others is because the way we're thinking about ourselves. We're not separate. We're one. So what thoughts are we holding that we would not want for ourselves? You're going to have it for yourself. What thoughts of fear are we having? Where do we feel threatened? Where do we feel unprotected? That we hold this idea that God is not for everyone. God is just for me. Fear has torment. And fear would make you crazy. Think crazy, feel crazy, and act crazy. That's why we got to get rid of the fear. Well, you don't have to get rid of the fear. We just need to walk in love. There's no fear in love. There's no fear in love. The Course says what? That which is real cannot be threatened. Do we feel threatened? Do we feel under attack? Like the community like to say, we're under attack. The enemy is after us. There's an enemy out there. He's an enemy to God, and he's an enemy to me. And we got to destroy the enemy. That's not coming from a place of love. That's coming from a belief in separation, which produces sin consciousness, guilt, and fear. You feel under threat. You feel a threat. When we feel a threat, that's just an indicator that we have forgotten who we are. And we don't see oneness. We see all things separate. And now we embrace the idea of what? Kill or be killed. But that's not what we want to give to ourselves. So we don't want to give it to our brothers. Because what you give is what you receive. And what you receive is what you have given. And so all gifts that I give to my brother are my very own. And all that the gifts that my brother gives belongs to me because we are one. As my wife gives me a goodbye blow kiss. And so today's idea is just a continuation of yesterday's idea. All the gifts my brother gives are mine. All the gifts that I give to my brother, they're mine also, and my brother's, because there's only one of us. See, when you understand who you are, you understand that the universe understands that there's only one of us. And so when we speak of ourselves, or if we speak of others, or if we speak of others, like we would not speak of ourselves, the universe think you're speaking of yourself, because the universe understands there's only one creation of God. And so when we're talking and we're talking about others, we're talking about ourselves. And so the universe only knows to bring about that in our own lives, So when we're not feeling peace, when we're not feeling and thinking in alignment of this love nature that we are, we need to examine, what are we holding? What are we afraid of? What have we allowed to enter into the land of truth? What have we allowed the altar of love to become, so that we can make the correction? And so, as every gift that my brother gives is mine, as every gift, everything that you've ever received as good, you would consider it good. Everything that you've ever given that you would consider as good, all of that is yours. And it hasn't gone anywhere. Jesus said, out of your, what? Out of the treasure. He calls it treasure. Out of this treasure. It's like we're these treasure chests that just keeps getting filled with the goodness, keep getting overflowed with not only the gifts that we give, but the good gifts that we've received. And they don't go anywhere. They only multiply. And all that is available right now in this present moment for all of us. But we get so distracted to this overflowing treasure chest that we have, that we have created, that we look right past the treasure chest, and we get so distracted about the falsities of this world. And so every gift that my brother gives is mine. So every gift I give belongs to me. Each one of these gifts allows a past mistake to go. So what gift do you give that allow mistakes to be released? The gift of what? Forgiveness. What gift does your brother give to you to allow past mistakes, right, to be released? Forgiveness. And so when we're withholding our forgiveness, when we're holding on to grievances, when we feel threatened, then what we're doing is withholding the very treasure that we need for ourselves by not allowing it to be given to your brother. And so each one allows a past mistake to go. And we've all made mistakes, but mistakes can be corrected. That's the whole idea. Errors and mistake can be corrected. But we as a species, humanity, we made up something else that is not love, and we call it sin. We say, no, when a person sins, he shall the one that sinned must die, must be punished. We created that system, not God, because of our fearful belief in separation, because our feeling under threat, because of us feeling that we're not one, we're separate. Look at all these different people, different colors, different nationalities, different this, different that. And we get afraid of that because we don't have the understanding. And so he says, each one allows the past mistake to go, to be let go, and leave no shadow of the holy mind my Father loves. His grace is given me in every gift a brother has received throughout all time and past all time as well. My treasure, or our treasure house, is full. So that means that everyone that have ever graced this planet as a human being, and all the goodness that they've given, and all the goodness that they have received from others, all of that, plus the gifts that we've given and received, all of that, because there's only one of us, is available to us. All of that goodness, all of that treasure, all of that love, all that forgiveness, all of that, all of that mercy, all of that grace is available for all of us right now, but we can't see the overflowing treasure because we have not embraced the oneness that we share. We still think we're divided and separate and different. And so we all sit around and hold our space in these divided corners. Everybody had gone to their corner. And that's self-sabotage. Everybody has labeled themselves different and have weaponized themselves and say there's a great war coming. There's a great judgment coming. And so we're creating this movie of fear. And we're going to watch it. We're saying it's a blockbuster. You got to go see it. I know I'm laughing, but it's comical when you wake up. Things are really comical. Really, really comical. When you see the truth of our identity, then the falsity of this world is like a joke. And you have to laugh to keep from crying. So it says, my treasure house is full. The writer picked up on it, David. He said, we've been filled with, Paul said, we've been filled with the fullness of God. David says, in the presence is fullness of joy and pleasures forevermore. Where did that come from? The knowing of the truth, that every good and every perfect gift comes from God, comes from the God that you are and the love that we share. And it has no shadow of turning. And it's right here and right now, right here and right now in your presence. If you could see through the eyes of Christ, if you catch this Christ vision, you would see the treasure that is everywhere present. Regardless of what's happening in the world, regardless of what they're reporting on the news, regardless of what you might be feeling, regardless of what you might be thinking, the truth is true always, and it's always available. It is on this frequency of love. It is on this this station or this channel that is called the mind of Christ. We just have to tune in. We just have to make a decision to welcome and embrace the truth that is true always concerning us, and to let go every falsity, every credence that we have ever held about ourselves and about others, to let it go. It's called forgiveness. And we can do that in one instant. And in that instant, we begin to see clearly now that the reign of separation, the reign of falsity, the reign of ego thinking, the reign of greed and scarcity, the reign of fear and lack, the reign of prejudice and inequality, Those things don't reign anymore. REIGAGN. But the rain, the RAIN, the blessings of God has come. We can see clearly now. Why? Because the blessings of God, not that they have come from anywhere, but they have come into my awareness. They was here all the time. He called it treasure. It says that we have this treasure. Where? In earthen vessels. That the power would be of what? Of God, and not of what? Our limited false self. So our potential is not this limited self that we have made, but it's the unlimited reality that we hold and embrace as being the essence of God itself. And so the treasure house is full. The angels watch it. Watch the open door, that not one gift is lost. Jesus said, all that you've given to me, I've lost nothing. And when you wake up, you realize that all that you've been given, you've lost nothing. Why? Because it's changeless and it's unalterable. And only more can be added. Jesus said, all that the sleeping ones seek after, he said, it shall be added unto you when we seek first the reality. He calls it the kingdom. That's what he's talking about. And so he said, let me come to where my treasures are, and enter in where I am truly welcome and at home among the gifts that God has given unto me. This is what happened when we wake up to the truth. We realize that every good, every acceptable, and every perfect gift of God has been given unto us, that all things good are ours now. And that we become that now moment. And we begin to attract that good and that acceptable and perfect will into our life. We are the coming attraction. You know, there's some reality to this, you know, the law of attraction, because it is a law. We just misused the idea, and it got a lot of people into some bad places. But when you get understanding that you are indeed this marvelous creation of God, that you don't just attract, but you are actually creating. You're creating love only. You're creating good only. You are creating only ideas. You're creating only ideas that help all humanity equally. It's not a competitive way of being or seeing, but it's a creative way of being and seeing, because we're all one and the same. And so, in conclusion of today's lesson, all gifts that we give, all the goodness that we have ever given to another, are but the same gifts that you've given to yourself, and they're still here. All gifts that's been given by anyone that ever graced this earth, that's good and in alignment, in harmony, and integrity with the goodness of God, they're here, and they're present, and they're yours. They are everyone's equally. It's not based on the systems of this world, the economies of this world. It's not based on the history of this world. It's not based on one group leveraging over another. It's based on equality. God is an equal opportunity. God is not into 3% controlling 97%. That's not a God idea. That is the result of a mind that has gone mad. A mind that is fearful. A mind that is guilty. A mind that is isolated. That's not the mind of Christ. That is not the mind of Christ. And so, Father, we would accept your gifts today, that they're all here and that they're all ours equally. We do not recognize them. Remember, enlightenment is but a recognition. Salvation is but a recognition. Awakening is but a recognition. It's not a baptism. It's not a confession, but it's a recognition, your recognition of your oneness with God and all living things. That's true salvation. It's not a person. It's an idea. It's a God idea. And so we do not recognize them yet. However, we trust that you who gave them will provide the means by which we can behold them. And he has provided the means by which we can behold. By which we can get an insight. God has provided the means. And that means that he provided is your awakening. The means that which God has provided is your salvation. Your coming to know who you are. That's the only means. That's the only source. That's all that one needs. It's but a recognition. I didn't recognize it in the previous moment, but I recognize it now. And so, I do not recognize them, yet I trust that you who gave them will provide the means by which I can behold them and see their value or see their worth and cherish only them as what I would want for myself and only that which I would want for my brother. Because I am my brother and my brother is me. When we awaken to that revelation of our oneness that we share with each other and that we share with God, and that it is no different, that we share the same life, we share the same being, the same self, the same essence, the same love, the same reality, the same truth, that we are infinite beings, that we are impersonal, that in reality we're not persons, but we are this one self, and that we are self-aware of all of this, that we transcend all of this. We can stand apart from all of this because we are the source of all of it. We're the one that projected all of this into the world. The world is no more than a projection of the mind of humanity. And when we see the mind of humanity changed to its nature of love, then and only then will you see a change in the world. So it is about the mind of Christ. Jesus said, let it be in you, because it was in me. And it was because I allowed it in me. I was able to project it out among those that I fellowship with. And when anything that came to me that was not of the life of God, my projection was able to overshadow it. My light was able to put that darkness out. Thus, this is the way God intended for it to be in your life and my life, that our life should be a life of light, a life of love, a life of mercy, a life of awareness and understanding, a life of Christ consciousness, to where we know that it is only one of us. That's why Jesus said, as much as you have done this to the least of them, you have done it to me. He understood that that was him. The one that is downtrodden, the one that is brokenhearted, the one that is struggling with addiction, the one that is struggling with identity, the one that has been so conditioned, so infused with a myopic opinion of themselves, that have a low self-esteem of themselves, that have an image of themselves that is not real. We realize that is us in our not knowing self. And now that we're in our knowing self, now that we have embraced the truth for ourselves, we become the light, we become the healers, we become the forgiver of the entire world. That is what your life has become when you walk in this love that we share, when you walk in this light that we are, when you walk in the equality that is a part of our creative nature, that is whole and complete and holy and innocent. You become the ministers of God. You become the reconcilers. We become the saviors of the world. Will you take your place among the saviors of the world, or will you leave your brother in hell? Will you? Or will you not? Well, that's lesson 316. All gifts, all good and perfect gifts come from where? Comes from. They don't come from. We become aware of them, that they were birthed in us in creation. And there's no shadow of turning. God is not a respecter of person. God is not moved by the flux and flows like we do. God just have put the truth out there, and God has gone on a long journey and say, when I get back, I want to see what's happening. I'll know whether you embrace the truth or not. God doesn't sit around and defend all of our insecurities. God's not, out to try to hurt nobody. God, you can't sick God on somebody. You sicken him on yourself. God is not a punisher. All these crazy ideas we come up with when we let go of love. We become afraid of love. And we feel vulnerable. We feel like we got to protect ourselves. We feel threatened. No, that's just an indication that we have become afraid of love. We become afraid of ourselves. We have forgot who we are. We are still holding on to division and separation. And so we embrace a kill or be killed mentality. And not knowing that we're killing our own gifts. We're killing our own self. So we let go of that falsity. We let go of that illusion. And we only embrace the reality of our oneness with God and with each other. And therein, we are restored to the peace. Therein, we have returned to the place we've never left. Therein, has we awakened from the dream. And all of that had poofed, it had disappeared. And we're this great, grand, shining, radiant beauty of a light that shines away all of that falsehood. That's what we do here at Truly Foundation. We are a virtual light that is shining in the virtual streets for those that still feel imprisoned by the conditioning of this world, those that still feel like there is something that I don't know. Well, we're here to let you know. We're informants, but we're informants of the truth. That is true always. You can always find the truth where there's liberty. See, there's liberty. Where there's truth, there's freedom. Where there's love, there's no what? There's no torment. Thank you so much. This is Easter time. I love this time of year. It's April. All things are growing. All the things in the natural form are just springing out. All the animals are coming out of their winter caves. I mean, I've already seen a couple of snakes on the golf course. Everything is growing, expanding, and moving. Is humanity doing the same? We should be, because we're the God of this world. I love this time of year. So it makes these messages easy. Give me a lot of natural examples to use. It's resurrection season. And we need to all resurrect from our unbelief, our doubt, our fears, and show up as the innocent, pure, holy, equal, divine creations of God that we are. Let's do that today. Have a great day. And hello, Heidi. Heidi, hello. I know you think I've been on vacation or gone on a sabbatical or something, but I have not. I've been right here, Heidi. I've been right here, working on some projects that's going to only enhance everything that we're doing. So good to see you, Heidi. I'm going to get back on my regular schedule here. So, but I had to take care of some things that is only going to make this better. All right. So you hold down the West Coast. I got the East Coast. Together, we got it all. All right. We'll see you next time. Have a great day. Bye-bye.